We've basically told a great generation of young women, don't get married, don't have kids, go get a corporate job. And it's created mass political hysteria. And then in their early 30s, they get really upset because they say, the boys don't want to date me anymore because they're not at their prime. And people get mad when I say that. Well, it's just true. If you're in your early 30s, I'm sorry. It's like you're not as attractive in the dating pool as you were in the early 20s. But again, you have your corporate job and cats. So I thought,
All right. On yesterday's episode of the Thought Crime podcast, Charlie Kirk and his co-host responded to the widespread backlash against those misogynistic remarks by making more misogynistic remarks. They weren't just responding to that clip, though. The group was also discussing an insanely sexist article titled, "Stop Blaming Men for the Marriage Crisis." And here are a few excerpts. In a discussion on unmarried women preferring Democrats, Kirk said that ladies in their 30s are past their prime and struggle to find a husband. This is obviously true, but impolite to say. Kirk's opinion runs counter to the prevailing conservative narrative about the decline of marriage. Conservatives say it's all men's fault, and we need to do more to shame males into stepping up. But this male-focused answer isn't correct. Rather, it's because of social transformations that deprioritize men and traditional masculinity. Our economy is now centered around the service and information sectors, both of which are female-dominated. Women are the big winners of our new society. And young people, particularly women, get to experience an array of choices and opportunities their grandparents couldn't dream of. This freedom proves to be hard to handle. Women aren't known for their decision-making abilities, and thus they struggle in picking a suitable husband. We are going to find out what Kirk and his friends had to say about all of that in a minute. But first, Cenk, as a man, what do you have to say about all of that?
Wow, that was devastatingly misogynistic. That was cray-cray. Yeah. Okay, so look, unfortunately, I'm gonna agree with one of the guys you're about to see in a video, and I feel deep shame over it. But we'll get to him in a second, and it's a guy that I loathe. But so far, they're 0 for 20 in these comments. These are insanity, right? I mean, who says this freedom proves hard to handle for women, and they're not known for their decision-making abilities? An a-hole, that's who says that, right? I mean, and then they'll go around pretending, what? Why do you say we're against women? Why do you say we're sexist? Oh, you just like to throw out labels like sexist. No, that was textbook sexism. But my favorite part was, it's not all men's fault, and we need to do more. We shouldn't shame males anymore. We should shame the females. How about this? How about call me crazy? Maybe we shouldn't shame anyone for their personal decisions because it ain't got nothing to do with you, brother. Why don't you butt out of their lives? And these are the guys pretending to be in favor of freedom. Really? Are you? What do you think, Mus?
I mean, these incels are giving their perspective on being a guy and being with women. I mean, I can't imagine any of these people are having any success with women in the long term, much less the short term. They don't seem like the kind Charlie Kirk does not seem like the kind of guy that is out there. I mean, I don't know, maybe he's married. I don't know his private life, but I can't imagine him being someone that you would want advice from on how to be with a woman, number one. Number two, it's interesting how everyone's got like the whole white man as a victim perspective. They just blame everything on the attack on white men. So they're saying women now are getting this opportunity. They don't know how to handle this opportunity. White men ruined the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's a good thing that women are getting an opportunity. Let's see what they do. And maybe it's time for white men to realize that they've really messed up this world. And by the way, that's not the explanation of everything. If you're looking about the idea of why is there maybe less marriage, or maybe there's less commitment in relationships, maybe people are waking up to the fact that, they don't need to get married Because we're not living in a village where you were 12 years old and you got married off to somebody and that was the only thing you had. There's a whole world out there. There's a world to live, to see. And I think young people are now in this generation are getting a chance to see that and going around the world and enjoying their lives and maybe deciding to get married, maybe not. But these guys find ways to bring everything back to the attack on white men. And it's just really just getting tiring and old.
Yeah, you know what? I got to jump in on that real quick. So first of all, it's not just white men, to be fair. Men from across the world have screwed up this planet really royally, right? And look, guys, I don't know that it's because we're men, but we really haven't given women enough of a chance to see how they do. But so far, it's been largely men running the world, and we have done war after war after war after war. I mean, does it look like we have a great track record? Now, of course, I'm not saying we shouldn't let men rule anymore, but if your argument is don't give women a chance because men have done a great job, that is not a winning argument. And then Charlie Kirk talking about other people's looks. Look, I live in a glass house, so I'm not trying to throw stones, but he's talking about women's looks. I mean, the internet has already decided that his eyes, nose, and mouth are in a tiny percentage of his face. And so I'm not sure you're the ultimate expert on how great looking anybody else is. So I just wanted to note those for the record. Yasmin, back to you.
Oh my God. So I'm a woman in my 30s and I asked my fiance if I was past my prime and he said, no, you're just getting started. He's so very supportive. So let's hear from these guys what they had to say.
The way the dating conversation is presented, especially when I talk to young women, I say, are you happy with the pool of young men out there? Say, oh no, they're terrible. They're self-interested. They have no ambition. I say, are you guys doing everything perfectly? They say, well, we have our act together and we're not to blame for this. There's an incredible amount of pride that young ladies have.
I do think it is weird, and he did call this out, that it's basically we've created a culture, especially on the right, where it's okay to call men out. We could belittle men all we want, but you can't do that with women.
I think women naturally do follow men and look towards men. If women were more, if you had a social change of women more concertedly encouraging like traditional morality, don't sleep with men as often, and kind of shun people who do it too easily, then that would also encourage marriage.
Okay, we are going to play one more clip from that podcast, but it was so nuts that we wanted to keep it separate. So here is Jack Posobiec raging against that old adage, happy wife, happy life.
Men have to be able to say no. Men have to be able to be in a relationship with a woman and say no. Whoever came up with that phrase, happy wife, happy life, is an idiot. And men need to stop believing that that is the only thing. And the most masculine word in the English language is the word no. Men being able to say no to women may be the one thing that saves Western society. People take that to mean do whatever your wife says at all times, never push back, never stand up for yourself, always be a pushover for whatever she wants to say yes to, which is wrong. And so on its face,
completely
those like sayings, but this is the issue, that it makes men like, oh, whatever you want, honey bear.
Yes, men need to be empowered to stand up to their tyrannical wives. I like how even the other guys on the podcast were kind of like, oh, you're doing a bit much. But Cenk, I know how you feel about this one. So is your life better when your wife's life is worse?
No. So there's one kernel of truth in what he said, and only one out of like 100 terrible comments they've made so far. But even when they have like a slightly decent point, they find a way to surround it in manure, right? So no is a masculine word. Is it? What is it? What's such a weird thing to say? Is yes feminine? And apparently the word no is going to save Western civilization. I mean, they say such insane things, right? And if you don't like happy wife, happy life, got bad news for you. Unhappy wife is not going to lead to a happy life. That is not going to happen. Okay, so what's the kernel I'm talking about where there's some truth to it? Which is that, look, I got brought up in a culture, which is funny because you might not, the common stereotype of Turkish culture might not be this, but in my culture or subculture, just make sure that your partner's happy, your wife is happy, and that was like an enormous driving force. But I believe that the answer is balance. I always think that balance is the right answer in any context, right? So should the husband be trying to make the wife happy? Of course. the wife should also try to make the husband happy, and they should find a way. And nobody can say endless yes, right? Because then you create an imbalance, and then that comes out in resentment, et cetera, et cetera. So there is no easy binary answer. Oh, have your wife decide everything. That's absurd. Have the husband decide everything. That's absurd. You're supposed to be partners, and you're supposed to decide together, and you're supposed to compromise. So that's a fair way of saying what Posobiec was saying in an insane way. That's my take on it. Maz, what do you think?
Yeah, they're clearly saying things to try to, get clicks on their pages. I mean, again, I look at those 4 guys and I'm like, those are not the guys I would take advice from on my relationship with my wife or girlfriend or whoever you're with. They don't seem like they are experts in that field at all. And going back to Charlie Kirk again, you were talking about his looks again. I don't want to. They all seem. Charlie Kirk looks like butthead too. There's a lot of buttheads in this circle of people. But this Posobiec or Prosobia, whatever his name is, Prolisikiac, whatever. He sounds like a prescription drug. But he is. Yeah, take Proboscidiac. Are you suffering from a happy life? Take Proboscidiac. You will have an unhappy life. No, in all honesty, it's a happy wife, happy life because it rhymes. It doesn't mean you have to say yes all the time. I'm sure somebody was like, happy man, get a tan. That doesn't work. So they went with happy wife, happy life. These guys have no sense of nuance. If you're an idiot, if you're dumb enough to think that, whether you're a wife or a husband, you think I have to say yes to that person my whole life, you're gonna be miserable very fast and you'll get out of that marriage ASAP or someone will pull you out of it. So most people that are married, I'm married, know that the truth is, as you were saying, you make sure your wife is happy, she makes sure you're happy, you fight once in a while, you're unhappy, you disagree sometimes, you say yes sometimes, you say no sometimes. There's nuance in this world that we live in. We're not living in some numbnut, dumb, the guy called happy wife, happy life idiot. He's the idiot for not realizing there's nuance. Is he married? I don't even know if he's married. And if he's married, I guarantee if his wife were there, she'd be like, yeah, once in a while, this guy says yes to me. So it makes me happy. And so who's the idiot now? Problosiak?
Yeah, I'm getting married in November and I can't imagine like taking such an antagonistic way of life, especially towards your spouse. And also, Maz, I think the more progressive version of happy wife, happy life is happy spouse, happy house.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Also rhymes, also very fun.